Hello and welcome back to our YouTube FLYBAI training channel. Today we have a video explanation about the ILS brief chart of Leon's airport, and we will complete a full chart brief of the ILS approach runway 23. We will complete the example supposing that we are flying our multi-engine plane Tecnan P2006. Well, here on the left side of the screen, you can see the chart for the Leon's ILS runway 23 approach, and that will be the one that we will explain later on. But just before that, short the explanations about the departure briefing that we need to take into account for this flight. First of all, will be the flight plan. It is an Zulu type of flight plan, so we need to write on the type of flight Zulu because we are departing from a visual airdrome and we are proceeding to an IFR airport, which is Leon. We need to write on the road, the following road that we can see here: Violet Hokol, then N0120 F070 IFR direct. That means the road that we wanna follow, and means that we will change to IFR from visual over the Hokol fix. We also explaining to the Eurocontrol that we're supposed to be at flight level 070 and at 1020 knots of cruise speed over this fix. We will write in the remarks part EFPS changes accepted. That is mandatory to be approved our flight plan, IFR flight plan from Eurocontrol. And at the beginning, probably you can see like the can be on blocks, like a status block, but then will appear if we set all the things properly, like after one. One more thing that we need to take into account from the 2018, that the all IFR flight plans must be sent with the Yankee letter on our equipment's indicator. That means that the plane is equipped with at least one radio with 8.33 channel. That will be mandatory for our flight plans for 2018. Then another thing that we need to take into account is about the MCA, minimum safety altitude, and also the MHA, which is the minimum holding altitude. So we departing from this site, which is Leo's airfield, and we proceeding to this initial approach fix Echo Oscar November. So our minimum safety altitude will be 5,500 in this sector. We're supposed to be above this altitude, and also the minimum holding for both initial approach fixes you call on an Echo Oscar November, that will be 070. So we need to take the much more restricted one, and we must stay over the initial approach fixed over this flight level 070 altitude or above. Okay, so we need to take into account that the Leon's airport chart has two initial approach fixes. One is the Echo Oscar November BOR, frequency 112.0, and another one is fixed calls Hokol, which is based on the radial 092 and DME 15 from the Echo Oscar November BOR as well. We need to check that in this case the both initial approach fixes, they have the minimum holding altitude, which is flight level 070. So means that we're supposed to be, when we overfly one of those points, at the flight level 070 or above. We can expect from the ATC an instruction to proceed to Echo Oscar November BOR or May 2 Hokol fix to start the approach. So we need to take into account that when we are passing altitude 6,000 feet, we need to select on our altimeter the standard QNH 1013. Remember that to always say the callout transition altitude 1013 altimeter set and 1000 feet to achieve our flight level requested. Initial entry to the approach. You remember that we have this line will be our outbound leg for the approach. So if we take this leg from each side to the left and to the right side 30 degrees, if we enter into the approach from any heading through this part, and if we have the before descent and approach checklist items already done, we could start directly after passing the BOR the approach without practicing any holding over the Echo Oscar November. If we came to the station through another radial, we must at least go for a holding and join on a holding. So let's suppose that approximately we are coming from radial 150 to direct to the Echo Oscar November. We will have on our equipment 1 on 2, and we will be the CDI following us heading 330 approximately. That means that we are on the radial 150 proceeding to the station. And let's see what type of holding do we have here. As you can see, we have a right turn holding, which is a standard holding, and we have an outbound leg 273 and inbound 09 According to the radial that we coming through to the station, we can expect a false or a parallel entry 1 over the Echo Oscar November BOR. So that means that after passing the station, we should fly left turn on a heading 273 for a 1 minute, and then we will make a left turn back to coach the inbound 093 towards the station. When we overfly again back the station, we will join on a normal holding pattern, towing back right to heading 273 until we are above the stations or with the wind level, which happen latest, remember, and then we will go for a minute more on the outbound leg. When we achieve a minute, we will make a right turn 1 minute as well to catch back inbound 093 towards the station. During this leg, we should complete approach chart brief for the ILS runway 23 approach. Well, here we can see the holding base over Jokol fix, which is on a radial 092 and distance 15 from the Echo Oscar November BOR. As we say before, it can happen to us 3 different things about how do we reach to this fix. Remember that we should practice on a diet to procedure to proceed to Jokol. We're supposed to be on a radial and distance from the Echo Oscar November, and we will make a diet to practice to proceed to Jokol. So we will arrive to the initial approach fix and we will go for our holding and then for our approach. Well, remember that if case we arrive to Jokol and our inbound heading to the approach 30 degrees from each side, we will be allowed to, in case we complete the charge briefing and before descent on approach checklist, to, after passing the station, continue to the arc DME that the approach has from this initial approach fix. If we achieve to call from any other point, we must join on a holding, and after completing the holding we could start our approach. Well, let's suppose that we don't have any wind during the day and we just achieve the call on the distance on the radial by the same time. So if we see that we have a left turn non-stagnant holding pattern, which our outbound radial is 092, so we probably will expect a parallel entry. We will pass the distance 15 and we will fly on a heading 092 until 1 minute, then we will turn right to coach inbound 272 until again shift back the DME 15. When we pass the DME 15, we will turn left to heading 092 as well, and when we pass the DME 15 on when we have the winds level, which happens latest, we will take time for our outbound leg 1 minute until we start our left turn to coach inbound 272 back to Hokol. Well, in case that we achieve the station and we coach first the radial down the mile, we will follow the radial until the DME 15. In this case, as you can see, we will go for an teardrop entry. We will fly our teardrop radial 122 after passing the DME 15 for a 1 minute, and then we will turn left to coach 272 back to DME 15 to Jokol. When we pass the DME 15, we will go for a left turn to outbound 092, and when we have the winds level or we pass the DME 15, which happened latest, we continue again back for a 1 minute outbound leg until we turn back left to 272 back to Hokol to the station as well back. That is the procedure that we will follow in case we achieve the radial before DME 15. And in case we achieve the radial far away than the DME 15, we continue following the radial to Jokol, and we will join, as you can see, on a direct entry. So we will pass the station and we will go for an outbound leg 092 for 1 minute. We will take times, remember winds level or DME 15, which happened latest, for an outbound leg 092 for a 1 minute, and then we will turn left back to coach inbound 272 back to Jokol. That should be our practice holding that we must perform over Jokol BOR, over Jokol fix. So here we have the IFR charts for the ILS RWY23 approach. Let's suppose that we have started the approach from the initial approach fix, and we already complete the loop over the holding and the before, distance and approach checklist. So we are ready for the approach. When the ATC gives us the clear to ILS approach clearance, we could start our approach. So what we should do: first of all, we will be flying more or less at 120 knots, so our outbound radial will be 054, sorry. So we will leave the station on a radial 054 until DME 11. We will descend from flight level 70, that we will be here, until 5,300 feet. When we leave the flight level 70, we must remember to select on our altimeter our key and H, always to be careful about the altitude that we have during the old approach. So when we are following this road towards the DME 11, we must calculate our distant vertical speed ratio. Remember that we need to be careful during this calculation just to reach to the distance at altitude that we must be. As you can see on the profile, we could also continue descent to 5,300 feet during this left turn. So in case we don't achieve the altitude on the distance 11, we could continue the descent during this leg. We will have the equipment too with the BOR just to complete this outbound leg from the BOR station towards the localizer. So on the equipment 1, we will select the ILS frequency, which is 10905, and we will also select the inbound course that will be 227. We will turn left once we reach DME 11 towards the 227 towards the localizer. And when we pass distance 10.5 from the localizer, we will continue our descent towards the DME 5.6, descending from 5,300 to 5,100. We will descend approximately in about 5 miles to 100 feet, and we will reach to our final approach fix. Remember that we must contact the ATC once we are on the localizer, and we must expect the clearance for landing. Before reaching the DME 5.7 or the final approach fix, we must practice the final checks in our plane. So when we have one dock from the glide slope, we will put the flap 1 on our plane. Just check we have the speed check below 120 knots, and when we have 1.5 dot, we will put the landing gear down and the landing lights on. Remember to always check the speed check 93, which is the speed that we must have at the least to put our landing gear down. When we reach to the final approach fix, a bit before, we will read our final checklist just to be sure that we have everything done, and we will obtain our landing clearance by ATC if we don't have it yet. And we will continue with the glide slope and localizer until our minimums, that from category Alpha we do have 3,250 feet. So when we reach to our minimums and we have the runway inside, we will complete on a visual to landing, and in case we don't have the landing inside, we'll continue through our mixed approach procedure. That will be, we will climb on a runway heading. When we reach 5,000 feet, we will make a right turn direct back to the BOR station, and we will wait for more ATC clearance. We could start immediately the approach right now, or may we must join on a holding, depends of what the control is clear to us. Well, let's see what happened. Now we are coming to Hocol from the Los Oteros. We are at 7-0. As we saw before, we are joining a parallel entry, and then we are going on a lap for holdings until we are clear for the approach or we are ready. So in case we're ready, we will complete the before descent checklist before leaving the initial approach fix, and also the approach checklist. And once we are cleared by ATC, we will with the equipment 2, as we saw before, we will join on a 13 DME arc from the radial 092 until we more or less finish on a radial 057. We are on the Yocol at flight level 70. Remember, always altimeter setting we change to local QNH, and we will continue during the arc descending from 70 towards 5,300 feet. That is the altitude that we must be when we are on the DME 5.3. We will change to the equipment 1 to the ILS frequency, which is 109.5 once we reach DME 10.5 from the ILS, and we're supposed to be at 5,300. And we will report to the ATC that we are already established on the localizer. Maybe we can expect a clearance for landing, or they will tell us just to call back when we are on the DME6. So in both cases, we continue descending from 5,300 to 5,100 till DME 5.6, which is our final approach fix. Remember that when we have one dock of glide slope, we will put flap 1 on our plane, and when we have a dock and a half, we will put landing gear and landing lights on as well. And we will read the final checklist before reaching DME 5.6, which is the final approach fix, and we will continue once we pass the final approach fix towards our minimums category alpha, which are 3,250 towards the runway. When we reach to minimums, we could expect to see the runway, and we will continue on visual landing. And in case we don't see the runway, we will follow the go around procedure. That will be, we will climb on runway heading till 5,000 feet, and then we will turn right back to the BOR, and we will wait for ATC clearance, made to start the approach or made to join on a holding, depends of the ATCs.